You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
Okay, we can open the meeting. It's now 5:30.
Recording in progress.
Make a motion, we approve the regular meeting minutes of August 2nd.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 2nd. Those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there additions?
There's a deletion. The raffle permit has been pulled at the applicant's request.
I'm sorry, which one is it?
The raffle permit?
Oh, it has?
Yeah.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public input.
Anybody online?
I really think that we should do away with the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And that could be done very simply by not having it as part of the package.
What?
It goes out.
Oh.
Announce it.
Well, if you can't make the meeting and you want to zoom in.
Tough. Tough. All right, now.
If you don't mind, Ken, I'd like to go to item B under new business. We have Mary Brunner here from the City of Keene to help discuss the lead paint abatement weatherization grant application.
Oh, all right. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought a one-page abstract. I'm sorry, the name? Sorry, Mary Brenner. It's spelled M-A-R-I.
M-A-R.
like as in ice. And then Brunner is B, and then the word runner, like a runner. Brunner.
Thank you.
But you used to be connected with somebody else too, didn't you?
I used to work for Southwest Region Planning.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is just a one-page abstract. So I don't know if anyone, would you like a copy as well?
If you have a copy
Oh,
of
that's
it.
it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
3 there, right?
Are you with the City of Keene now?
Yes, I'm the
Okay.
senior planner.
Thank you.
Is that similar to what you had emailed over, or can you email this?
Yeah, this was just emailed to me today. So this is just a one-page overview of the program.
Gotcha.
So do you want me to just talk about what the
Yeah,
program is
please.
for? Great. So first of all, thank you for having me here tonight. The City of Keene is really excited about this opportunity. So to go over what it is, the City of Keene had already partnered with Sullivan County to expand an existing childhood lead poisoning prevention program, which has existed in Sullivan County since December of 2020. And I believe they've abated 60 or 70 homes through that program so far, which is pretty good. And that program is funded through HUD. So the city has already partnered with them on a grant to expand that program to all of Cheshire County, so it would benefit the town of Swanzey as well. And we're waiting to hear back on that grant application. And then in the meantime, this competitive funding round came out for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program through the Department of Energy. And this is a program that is meant to help small and mid-sized governmental entities transition to clean energy. And so the city wanted and worked with Sullivan County. We're also working with Monadnock Economic Development Corporation. And although Cheshire County is not an official partner, they're supportive of the project and are going to help us with the outreach portion of it. Our goal here is to combine the lead abatement program with weatherization and other energy efficiency components to increase the effectiveness of both. So right now, when the lead abatement contractors go into a home, they assess the home for lead. That family that lives there for the lead work actually has to be displaced for 10 days while they do all the lead abatement work. And often when they're doing that work, they have to pull up things like baseboards and other components of the home that have lead on them, and they'll notice that underneath there's no insulation or really, really poor quality insulation. And so they put back a brand new baseboard over top of this without fixing the insulation because they don't have the funding to do the weatherization work as well. So what this program is trying to do is marry the weatherization work with the lead abatement work so that they can happen at the same time, be more cost effective, and provide a greater benefit to these families. So that's in a nutshell what the goal of the program is. We are trying to partner with, so we have the city of Claremont is on board and the city of Keene are on board as team members, and our request for you here tonight is for the town of Swanzey to come on board as an additional team member. And the reason for that is through this specific grant opportunity, the Department of Energy is prioritizing teams, and team members can only be what are eligible entities for the competitive funding, which the counties are not eligible because they're too big. This is for small government agencies. So we're trying to put together a team because that makes us eligible for more funding, and it also makes us eligible for a fellow who can come on board and help us make the program even more effective. It's a 3-year program, and we are asking for $1,190,000, assuming Swansea participates, and that would be $1,170,000. So we're proposing to give each of the 3 communities $20,000, and that would be to hire a consultant to do outreach and engagement work, and that's specifically for reaching out to potential program participants, as well as reaching out to contractors. One of the biggest issues that we have in our region, and honestly this is a statewide issue for all of our rural areas, is finding contractors that are qualified to do weatherization work. I know I recently went through the New Hampshire SAIDS program this past year, and I had to wait months for, and the holdup was getting a contractor to come out and do the weatherization work, and they ended up coming over from, I want to say over like the Manchester area, so they had to travel quite a ways to come here because they couldn't find anyone locally to do the work. So a component of this grant is to address that problem by actually doing some of the workforce development and training and getting people in our area trained to do this work. I could talk a lot more, but I'm happy to take questions.
I think our main questions and potential concerns are just what's the town's obligations going to be? Are we going to have to go out and like inspect properties after the work is done to verify it? Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, so the main bulk of the work, so just to give you an idea of the breakdown of the budget, $500,000 would be going to each of the 2 counties. For Sullivan County, that will be administered by Sullivan County. And for Cheshire County, that will be administered by the Monadnock Economic Development Corporation. And they will be the ones doing all of the nuts and bolts of the program. So working with contractors, getting everything scheduled, getting the all of the logistical items taken care of, doing the inspections, all of that will be done through those partners. The 3 communities are really in charge of well, Keene will be doing the grant administration, but other than that, the 3 communities are in charge of doing outreach for the program. And I mentioned, so Sullivan County is going to do outreach to the Sullivan County towns other than Claremont, and MEDC, with help from Cheshire County, is going to be doing the outreach to the communities in Cheshire County other than Keene and Swanzey. But we would be doing a much more robust outreach effort in our communities. And the idea behind this is that not only are we trying to engage the residents, but also landlords and realtors and other key stakeholder groups that it can take some time to engage with. So we have, I think, written into the grant that we would be purchasing yard signs to put out on the properties that participate through the program to help raise awareness. At least 1 in-person event per year. And again, that would be organized by whoever we hire. Each individual community could hire their own person, or we could go in together and hire 1 person for all 3, or any combination thereof.
What is that more specifically? The in-person? I missed it.
Basically, you'd invite landlords to come in and explain the process.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I mean, an in-person meeting.
Yes, an in-person event. So rather than doing a virtual event or just doing advertisements or social media posts, we'd actually have a convening where people can come together and brainstorm ideas, talk about what their barriers are, and hopefully make the program more effective. And again, we'd also have this fellow, if we are successful and able to apply as a team, we'd also get a fellow to help us with all of this as well.
So the three communities would be participating with Sullivan County and MEDC.
Yes.
And those two entities would distribute information throughout their respective communities. So what is the role that Keene and Claremont and Swanzey play other than communicating within their own communities? How are the funds how are the projects allocated and selected?
So are you asking how the specific properties are chosen where the lead abatement work is done? My understanding, so they have, I believe it's an application-based program, and this is where I'm not as familiar because this is a Sullivan County program that we're hoping to expand, but hasn't expanded yet. But I believe what happens is you, if you're a family that wants to go through the program, you express interest if you meet the income requirements. So you have to be 80% of the area median income for the lead abatement program, or lower. So you have to meet those eligibility requirements. They come out and do an assessment of the house, and then if there is lead work that needs to be done, you go through the program and your house gets abated. My understanding, and I can double check on this and get back to you, but my understanding is that that's really driven by those folks reaching out to the program, which is where the communication and the, kind of like promotion of the program becomes important.
So MEDC is administering $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a fee associated with that? And then is the balance of that money used for training of contractors and also for the actual lead abatement and weatherization?
Look, so I believe the $500,000 is all for the weatherization work so the lead abatement is actually going to be funded through HUD, and that's a $4.4 million program. The $500,000 will be specifically for adding insulation or energy efficient windows to the homes that need them, that are already going through the lead abatement process. But that entirety of the $500,000, I believe, is set aside specifically for the actual work to be done.
For the insulation?
And the windows, yes, I believe. And then the $190,000, $60,000 of that will be going to the three communities for outreach. And then the rest of that is for administration of the grant and then the training for workforce development.
Okay, what's the 4.4?
That is a HUD, that's the portion of the program that's the lead abatement program. So these are really two separate programs that we're trying to combine. The $4.4 million is to fund the lead abatement portion
And
of the
who's
program.
what entity is administering that?
I believe it is Sullivan County and Sullivan and the City of Keene for, with MEDC as a partner for Cheshire County.
Okay.
And for the overall grant, the City of Keene, because I believe it has to be an eligible entity that handles the administration, we would be subcontracting with someone to do the administration of the whole grant, because my understanding, and the City of Keene has never worked on a DOE grant before, but our understanding is that it is quite burdensome. So that will be contracted out to someone.
In order to be selected?
I don't know the exact steps that they would have to go through. Again, I think it's some sort of application process. And I don't know in Sullivan County how they did it, if they, started out with a list from Southwestern Community Services or their housing authority or something like that as an initial outreach list. I don't know what they did there. But I do know that there are eligibility requirements that you have to meet in order to go through the HUD lead abatement funding. For this grant specifically, which is just the weatherization and the window replacement program, I believe what we've written into the grant is that we're going to give first priority to families that meet the 80% HUD AMI. But if we're not able to expend all the funds, we would then open it up to families that are at 100% of the AMI or below.
You'll be able to expend all the funds at $800 a window, like 500,000 goes pretty quick.
Yeah. So, and we have 3 years to spend money. So our goal, so we expect there to be like about a 4 to 6 month ramp up period. So the first year we're planning to spend a significantly lesser amount of money than the following 2 years.
So is the AMI based on the ownership in a multifamily or based on the tenant's income?
The people who live there. So you could be a renter and go through this program even if your landlord is wealthy. Yeah.
So who's the applicant, the landlord or the tenant?
I am not entirely sure on that. I would have to get back to you, but I know the eligibility is based on the actual occupancy.
Thank you.
Will there be any liens or restrictions put on the property for a time after?
I would also have to get back to you on that. I haven't, in all of our meetings, I haven't heard anything come up about that. We did have a discussion about any sort of, I forget the correct term, but one of the grant application questions is, what are the negative impacts on your population that you're serving? And the only thing that came up through that discussion was the fact that they have to be displaced for the lead work for safety reasons. And we did check, and the weatherization work won't affect that because you can do the weatherization work while you're in the home. There's no health hazard there. So we don't expect the time that they're displaced to be increased at all because of the weatherization work. No one mentioned anything about a lien during that discussion, so I would assume not, but I would have to double check. I can write that down.
I could see that being one of the questions. And the only other thing is the town responsible for any of that 10 days for lead abatement?
Nope, that's all handled by the HUD program.
Good. Thank you.
So a hotel room, they're reimbursed? Or
My understanding is that they are, yep, they get put up for 2 weeks, or roughly 2 weeks while the lead abatement work is happening. Because you can't stay in the home while it's happening, it's a health hazard. Yeah.
Other questions? Other questions from the gallery? I don't expect any.
is there any downside to the town for participating?
I mean, you would have to either do the outreach in-house or hire someone to do it. So if you decide to go on your own and do your own individual contract with someone to do the outreach work, you know, the management of that contract is an administrative staff burden. But other than that...
So Keene could absorb that $500,000 in a heartbeat, as Claremont could absorb the $500,000 in a heartbeat. What assurances do we have that some of those funds will come to Swanzey and potentially other communities as well?
Yeah, well, they have to be spread out. I don't know what assurances we can give. I know that in Sullivan County, like as you mentioned, Claremont could have used all of it up just on themselves, but they didn't. It was spread out through all of the towns. So I don't know exactly how they ensure that, but I know that the intention is for this to be a county-wide program. And in fact, one of the new requirements for all federal grants is to talk about Justice 40 communities, which you have to use this online tool to identify a disadvantaged community. And we only have one in Cheshire County, it's Winchester. And so we are definitely going to be focusing on Winchester a little bit through this program as well. Just because they're our Justice 40 community. I believe we have one census tract in Keene that qualifies based on energy burden.
Still don't understand how that ever got calculated, and we can't get one here, but anyway, it is what it is.
So But yeah, just to go back to your initial question about downsides for the community, that's the only one that I can think of. And I can also get back to you on your other questions and talk to the larger group. I was initially not going to be the person coming here tonight, so I kind of had to get up to speed quickly on this, but.
You did well.
Thanks.
Good.
Consensus?
Supportive of proceeding? So we gotta get her a letter tomorrow, right? So,
Yes, and another thing that would be helpful is if Swanzey has any plans or goals or anything that you've adopted related to energy costs, energy burden for your residents, or anything related to energy goals. That's one of the application questions. So it'd be helpful to
I can
know.
work that in.
Okay, great.
Thanks very much, Mary.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome in Swansea anytime.
So, consideration of new business.
Knock that out.
What?
Knock out A before the public hearing?
Yeah, really, I mean, it's convenient for these guys because they're here for both, but it really is kind of a separate discussion from the public hearing on next year's event. But I did hear back from council after our discussion, I think a couple meetings ago, about the possibility of a multi-year event permit, and he gave me some language to work that in. I also cleaned up a couple of just kind of typo and different formatting issues in the special events policy, so I've included that as an option either under the concert series, which actually this wouldn't qualify as a concert series as we define it, because it's only one weekend. So we also put it in just the general special event. So he had suggested up to 3 years, saying that a lot can change, in 3 years. I know these guys have a 10-year agreement with Cheshire Fair, so that's what they're looking for. So that's, obviously a policy decision for the board, how long of a commitment you're willing to make. We did make sure to have clear in here that violation of the restrictions of the limitations of the permit could result in it getting pulled. If we say, hey, if you bid on by 11, you're going till 1 a.m. every season, you might get pulled. So again, the 3 to 5 to 10 is up to the board's pleasure. Don't have to make a decision on it tonight if you want to think about it. But that's the update on special events policy.
If you look at 3.
I would support 3 with the expectation that if any of us are here in 3 years, that if all has gone well, I know I would be in favor of extending it 7, just to complete their 10-year. But I think the longer we can give them certainty, the better off they are business-wise. But for a start, I think 3 is a good approach.
Okay.
You want to talk?
I make.
Do we have an opportunity to talk to you, or?
Well, I mean, they certainly are here, so therefore, I think they should be able to.
We don't want to break protocol. No, yeah, we didn't know. It's okay to chat about it.
The chairman has opened the door. You've got the floor.
So
About 6 minutes.
Gotcha. So to your point, yeah, we are looking for a longer period of certainty, and I guess the easiest way to put it in digestible terms is the longer period of certainty we have, the more certain we can be towards putting profit into capital improvement jobs on the property. So if for instance there was a 10-year permit, whatever projects need to be done, we would be starting on those early. But if it was a shorter term, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm not sure if those would get done in the first 3 years, because it's not a property that we own, so putting large chunks of money into someone else's property would require sort of a longer period of certainty.
Yeah, for instance, we met with the Holiday Lights company just before we came here, actually, and those are really far out. I think it's gonna be at least 2 years till they can even make it work, and I think that's pretty common with those businesses. And the investment to do something like that, bless you. The investment to do something like that is pretty great. It's a large investment, and it kind of would probably start happening around the time that the end of this permit would be, so I guess like he's saying, the more time we have, and as you know, as you stated too, the more time we have, the more certainty we have. And like he said, especially putting money into a property that we don't own, so that's it. I want to keep it simple, but
Just give context.
yeah,
Just what?
Just give context.
context. The length for us is, you know, we appreciate any length, but you know, for us, the more, the better for our business.
And the better for what we're willing to put into Cheshire itself, into the grounds and the facilities and so on and so forth.
What's involved with the lighting? What is involved with the lighting?
Purchasing lights and their.
Oh, they're not coming, you're not
Yeah, it's either
renting
leasing,
them, they're.
it's either leasing or purchasing, and even leasing is expensive, so there usually is some sort of a flip that'll happen. Just a real quick example is, you know, maybe you do 50-50 in year one, and leasing, renting, and then versus buying, and then kind of, if it's successful, you go more towards owning as in second year and third year. But no matter what, it's, you know, it's real money.
Then there's a time factor too, where everything comes from China, I'm assuming, talking to the company, and it'll take at least a year to knowing what you want to do and confirming your plan, to ordering it, to actually getting the product too. So it's a lot of time and a lot of money on top of it as well.
Back when the special events policy was hatched, it was like 20 years ago or something like that, I know that at the time, I was hoping that the Cheshire Fair would become a venue and not have to be involved in the permitting process. And I think a 3-year contract might help push them toward that point. Maybe you guys could work with them to become a venue, and you might not need a special event permit.
Right.
Just be going through the planning board. I don't know if ZBA would have to be involved, but,
Okay.
you know, it's, could end up being like Great Woods or something like that, you know, that.
Well, there's a lot of certainty there. So I hear you on that.
Yeah, I think with them that, you know, they like having the agricultural events too, so I think it's difficult for them to want to fully commit to one thing. You know, they want to do a little bit of everything, which I understand.
Right, but they're already kind of there because the Cheshire Fair is exempted from our permit process.
Right.
Or at least it was at the beginning. And so I think, you know, they should be able to come up with some facilities, and maybe it's just a matter of having some public hearings and becoming a venue. So, something to think about.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm very sympathetic to their position. Why did Cordell say 3 years?
I don't think there was any magic to it. I think it was just, you know, 3 years, the whole board could change over in 3 years, lot can change.
Which is exactly why they want a longer period. And not just this board, but, well, they've already got their permit with the fairgrounds.
Some developer could build houses all around the back of it.
Some developer is.
Just telling you.
Well, he scaled that back, didn't he, Shane, from his original approval?
Yeah, I'm not sure if one of those expired or 5's halfway between what they're looking for and.
Could we do a renewal clause that would essentially give them the opportunity to exercise the option to renew, and unless there were some specific slight violations, to be like any other tenant situation where the tenant has the option, well, not always, but they should in their lease, they have the option for a 5-year lease with a 5-year renewal, and then when they renew, they add on another 5-year option. So is there the possibility that we could do something like that, which would give them the expectation that unless they really screw up, they've got the option to renew. So they basically will get their 10 years. Because if we give them 3 years and they F it up next, oh boy, this is rough. And they mess it up badly next year, and we give them a warning, and they mess it up again in their second year, they aren't getting renewed. They're effectively done, because we're gonna tell them, you messed up the first year, you messed up the second year, you're done, because that's in here. But can we put an option to renew? Because I understand what they're saying. They could be invested 50,000 or thereabouts, whatever the number is for lighting.
Like you said.
That's a little low.
The one before,
So-
the drop in the bucket. kind of
What's
thing.
that? Right.
Like you said with her about the windows and Keene, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that 100, 150, like real money for capital improvement
Yeah,
projects.
so I would be in favor of at least talking with Cordell about something like that, whatever y'all think, but I think they just, what they're bringing, I think ties in with what Sly just mentioned as a venue. They've done extremely well with incredible circumstances this year. And I think we only had one complaint, and that was from someone that's not even close to being in a butter. I'd like to explore that. If you haven't already.
I didn't ask that specific question, but I think it can be addressed. I think it's covered either, I mean, I guess you're looking for something to still expire after 3 years. I mean, if you do a 5-year and they mess up the first time,
They're gone.
mess up the second time, you can still, so
Right.
I think that's covered. It's just not about how many
So
years.
what would
you
hold
want.
us back from doing a 10-year then?
Nothing. It's your discretion. You could do a 10-year. He
So-
suggested 3, but again, there was no magic to 3. It wasn't like, oh, statute such and such, it only allows up to 3 years. It's just a board policy, so it's up to your discretion. So if you're open to a 10-year, you could do a 10-year.
So we're not setting a precedent, we're looking at a specific example.
No, you'd be amending the policy to say you allow special events up to a certain term. So it's not,
Everybody.
yeah, that means it's not a guarantee that you have to. We did put right in there, just because someone's asking for it doesn't mean you have to give multi-year, but you could get a request from, I won't name other events, but other events that have happened probably for 10 years. They could say, no, I would like a 10-year event. Maybe you want to do that, maybe you don't. So
But
you do open the door for everyone. It's not just a specific case.
But in this case, the buy-in that would separate them from some of the others, monster truck type of thing, is that they're guaranteeing that they're going to be making investments in the property that are not only going to benefit the property, but benefit the community, because there'll be more events that the community can partake in. And that, I think, is different. But I am in favor of giving them the 10 years, if there's a way that we can do it without opening the door for everyone that comes in. I think they've proven themselves, and I think everyone deserves the right to prove themselves. So if it's an up to, and we can say, hey, we don't know you, you don't know us, we're going to give you 1 year. Then
Yeah, it's up to your discretion. So you do open the door for people to ask for whatever term you're maximizing, but you don't necessarily commit that you have to approve it. You could still say, nope, you're a new event, 1 year, or yes, you've been doing it a few years, but we're still not comfortable, we only want to do a 3-year. It'd be up to the board's discretion.
Okay. Well, I'd be up for 10 years in those
The Super
particular cases.
Walmart's not coming in the next 10 years.
Probably.
Well,
That's a
Well,
real concern.
What, Super Walmart?
If the property goes under some other management.
Well, you got your
sounds like
permit.
you have a contract.
You've got a contract. Assuming it's like any other contract that conveys when the property is
Yeah.
conveyed, so. Anyway, that's just, I'm supportive of what they're asking for 10 years. I'm just one. So.
I still like 3. I think if they keep doing a good job, we shouldn't have any concerns that they wouldn't be renewed.
Except from an investment perspective. If they, if you were getting a loan to build a building, the bank's gonna want to do your business. The bank's gonna want to guarantee that you're gonna be there for the term of the loan, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, whatever. So I think I agree with you, but from the standpoint of the investment that they want to make, I also agree with them. They need the certainty of knowing that they're going to be there. The three of us may not be here in 3 years or 2 years, and well, I'll be here in 2 years, God willing. But anyway, the three of us may not be here, and then they're facing a new board, and the new board says, no, well, we just invested $150,000 in these lights. Well, take them to wherever you want to go. But I think they deserve either renewal option or the 10-year, but the renewal option is their option in order for them to have the understanding and the expectation that they can get a return on their investment.
I just hate speaking for the next board. So that we can make the decision. If there's a whole new board, they should be able to make the decision to one way or the other.
The only reason I
Even
just...
if it's 2-1.
Yeah, well, yes, it's probably going to be 2-1. We just don't know which way the 2 is going to go. But all of our boards make those decisions.
Right.
The planning board makes a site plan review decision, and the next year 2 board members could change. That decision's still in place. So I gather, I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree. So I'll stop. Oh my God, we're past the public hearing. All those people online that tuned in just for the public hearing. All right.
Got anybody?
Is Jen somebody that's related to Swanzey?
She's on our team.
One ringer.
All right, well, let's table the discussion between you and Sly until after the public hearing.
And then Ken's gonna speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the elephant is in the room. So,
You know, we could say our party affiliation.
I didn't know that either. I was thinking the same thing.
all right, we're gonna open the public hearing in accordance with warrant article 14 passed at the 2004 annual
I think we're doing the concert one first, I would bust.
town meeting. Okay, we are. Where is that?
6A.
Right there. All right. Notice is hereby given to the Swansea Board of Selectmen. We will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 16th at 6 p.m. For a special permit from Northland Live LLC to hold the Northland Music Arts Festival at Cheshire Fairgrounds, property at 247 Monadnock Highway. Proposed festival would be held on June 13th, 14th, and 15th, 2024. We open the hearing. Any questions from the board? Any questions or statements from the parties in attendance?
Looks like you're looking for the same hours as last year, right? So till 10 p.m. on Thursday and 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Correct.
I did hear it on Flat Roof Mill Road on Saturday night. I have no idea what was being played, but
Couldn't name that tune?
I couldn't, I had no idea what kind of music it was, but I did hear it.
Are there additional comments?
It was better than the track races down in Winchester, though.
I would think.
All right, hearing none, we're gonna close the public hearing. And if you wanna issue
All right, Beverly, I'll make the motion under 6A.
Second.
Okay.
motion made and seconded to grant the permit. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay. Now, can I
Yes.
Close
Back to
the,
the.
all right. We're gonna open the public hearing in accordance with, 4114A. In accordance with the warrant article 14, it was passed at the 2004 annual meeting in RSA 4114A. The Board of Selectmen, during their regularly scheduled meeting at Wickham Hall on August 16th, regarding the town purchase of 110 Pine Street, map 57, lot 113, hearing as follows. Are you ready, gentlemen? Any additional comments?
Thank you. That's the escrow check.
We heard from the Conservation Commission, and they have no concerns, and I understand the planning board will discuss it at their regular meeting next Thursday.
Okay. Any questions from the gallery? All right. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll
See you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. All right? What else we got?
Did you want to go back to the amending the special events permit, or did you say you want to table that until next meeting, or?
Well, I frankly don't see any reason to continue for the duration. So, and if you want to make a motion to continue it to the duration, then so be it.
The permit
Yeah,
for the 10 years?
yes.
So, let me just understand this correctly. The approval would be for a special events policy as amended to 10 years? Is that what you're talking
Just
about?
gotta pull up the section, so it's section 5E, right? And then there's another one.
It's 5 and 7, right?
Yes, 7G.
Or, not to further complicate this, but you could make the case that the outdoor concert and performing arts series, which is more than 3 concerts, maybe you would only want to do 3 years on that. Maybe that's a bit of a compromise. But the one weekend, you know, if someone applied, they wanted to have 20 concerts for 10 years, you might not want to do a 10-year for that.
But we, as we discussed it, if I understood correctly, if someone wanted to do something like that, we have the option of up to 10 years.
Correct.
But we could grant it on an initial basis for 1 year.
Correct.
Okay, so now it's more complicated.
Sorry, forget I said that. Continue on. So amending section 5F and 7G, modifying this,
5F?
modifying
Yes,
this
5F, I'm sorry.
Not B?
No, I thought it was E actually, but it's an F.
as further amended to change 3 years to 10 years.
Yeah, that's
I should never put those damn things on.
So yes, so you got it, Michael? And it's up to. Okay. So I'll make that motion, Beverly. Michael will help you with it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed, no.
I'm sorry?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So that's just to amend the policy, so now, once they sign it, the next meeting, you can now apply for up to 10 years. So that'll be again separate from approved 2024, this will be separate for 2025 and
Okay, understood.
So you have an 11-year.
No place to go in the 11th year.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
And we'll be in touch.
And we we know you'll meet the level of trust that the board and the town are putting in you for that long-term commitment and continue on the positive path you're on.
Indeed, we take it very seriously. We do, yeah, we appreciate everything the
Good.
town's done us so far too, so I think it's been great, and continue to be so.
Great,
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
New business C, new expenditure revenue report, second quarter analysis.
Yes, so that came out earlier today, so you probably didn't have a chance to review it, but overall, pretty good shape. General fund is a little over 45% spent, so in good shape for halfway through the year. A lot of those numbers are going to start to go haywire in July when we get a lot of the flooding expenses, so this is kind of a good snapshot before all those start to get factored in. So overall, a couple little minor things, but revenues are looking positive and overall expenditures are in pretty good shape.
Any update on the governor declaring a state of emergency?
Not that I've heard.
So in the event that he doesn't, and we're not eligible for FEMA reimbursement, how are we going to handle this?
I think we'll be okay. Some of the roads were roads that were planning to being paved anyway, so that's a benefit in terms of it's not necessarily additional cost. Pebble Hill, Dunn Hill, those were in the schedule anyhow. So the graveling was more significant than it would otherwise have been, but I think overall between the general fund, we might have to tap into some of the road rehab expendable trust fund or the municipal transportation capital reserve, but I think overall we'll be able to weather it.
Are we still looking at about 2 million? When all
No, I think it should be significantly under that. Joe's thinking under $1 million. When he quoted the 2 million, I think that was factoring like Talbot Hill being like a total loss, whereas it was like half a loss and half at one side. So he's thinking under $1 million.
Okay. Now, we've got correspondence,
Yes, sir.
DOT.
Yeah, just the annual block grant
Okay.
update.
Up in Hatfield.
The Eversource matters that never end. Just a brief letter from Barton there. So I don't think we have any concerns with the approach he's proposing.
So you want consensus on that, or?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I'm sorry, what are you talking about now?
Good correspondence,
Oh,
just a letter from Upton and
do I
Hatfield.
have it here?
You had it in the email.
Oh, the email you sent, no, I got it, okay.
Printers rolling
Yeah.
so I did a little couple skippy packets for you and I, but.
Okay.
We're not going to cover the gravel by extending the toner. Mike,
No, it wasn't a budget thing, it was run out of toner thing. We got one in the mail, like, no, we were trying to save money,
All right,
but we would have.
and C,
We'll see. Oh, yeah, I need to reach out to our friends at City of Keene, because that was something we had instituted at their, in collaboration with them, so I'd like to discuss them. I assume they'd like to continue the ERZ around the airport, but it's coming due for renewal, so we need to request an extension. So I'll reach out to David and Elizabeth.
all right. Non-public.
I don't have any, just couple general updates. The recycling center is continuing to go very well. The little side building that's gonna be the staff quarters and restroom is, a lot of it's framed up. A lot of the steel is up, as everyone's been there has seen, so that's coming along very nicely, all on schedule. So that's positive. Still looking at a November completion, hopefully a little sooner, but that's what we're going with. And then the Swanzey Center sidewalk project is being paved today. Almost finished today, Joe said, but we'll be finishing the top coat tomorrow morning. So that came out great.
Going back to the recycling center for a minute, there is a provision in that, is there not, for cleaning your hands, washing your hands?
Outside?
Yes,
Yes, I believe there is, yes.
okay.
I know that's been one of your bugaboos.
It's one of my bugaboos, that you have a tendency to go and you have a leaky bag and you got it all over the car, and you got it all over your hands and everything else. So,
Then you're gonna have a nice sanitary bathroom you can use if you wanna really wash your hands too, it's gonna be very nice.
all right.
You just go into the tin cans and dump them
There you go, there you go.
And I'll go to the old
out.
one.
Those over the,
Anything else, gentlemen?
Just related to the sidewalk project, I know the trucks going over the covered bridge has been a hot topic, at least at different times throughout the year. So Joe's already made some contact with state DOT about some improved signage in there once the sidewalk project is completed. So that is on his radar.
you still like to reach out to our
I
representatives?
talked to Representative Rhodes about that, and she was supportive of that. So when they are able to file new legislation.
Good.
All right, anything else?
I don't think so. Oh, I do have a non-public, I do have non-publics, I do have one non-public, so for B hiring. Almost let me miss that one.
I had another idea, so if you were gonna skip it, I was fine.
You were gonna be okay?
I was gonna be fine. It was just one of those ideas that happened this afternoon, out of those chance conversations.
Chance social encounters?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was talking with Mary, so. Anyway. But no, go ahead, you gotta do it. Gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, I have to make the motion?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
we're waiting.
What is it, under A?
B for hiring?
B. I'll make a motion, we go into non-public under B.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to go to non-public B.
Colby.
Aye.
Walker.
B.
Karazinski.
Aye.